it breaks my heart how Hollywood has turned like witchcraft either into something looks fabulous and wonderful, or is something so evil and dynamic and
Yeah.
whatever, and oh, it's black magic. I've literally have had people say to me, oh my god, you're a witch. Oh my god, are you evil? And it's like, no.
The Bodega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with the Bodega and sharing one of yours.
In the early 1950s, a retired British civil servant named Gerald Gardner made a bold decision that would change the landscape of modern spirituality forever. After years of studying esoteric traditions and claiming initiation into a secretive coven, Gardner published Witchcraft Today in 1954, unveiling the practices and beliefs of what he termed Wicca. This public disclosure not only challenged societal taboos surrounding witchcraft, but also laid the foundation for the Wiccan movement. Now, which that emphasizes harmony with nature and worship of a goddess and a horned god, and the revival of ancient pagan rituals. Now, Gardner's courage in bringing these traditions to light transformed Wicca from a clandestine practice into a recognized spiritual path embraced by many worldwide. And with that, welcome back, curious minds, to Codega's Codex of Curiosities. I'm your host, Rai the Codega, and I'm here to guide you through the strange, the mysterious, and the unexplained. And here, we like to pull back the veil of the hidden, the forgotten, and the bizarre, one story at a time. Today, I'm going to be joined by a guest who aligns perfectly with our my opening story, and maybe she's actually going to shed a light on the differences between Wicca and witches, or Wiccan and witches, because I need a lesson in that. And that guest is Cindy Sapp. She is the host of Coven of Curiosities. Kind of sounds kind of familiar. Codex of Curiosities, Coven of Curiosities. I like it. So we're going to go deep into witches on this show, and we're going to learn something new today, of which I'm really excited about. And with that, let's welcome Cindy to the show. Cindy, welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities.
Hi. So glad to
Hello.
be on.
I am glad to have you on. I know we've been talking for a little bit, and this is the way it always goes. I say this with just about everyone, I guess. We've been talking for a bit. We finally got it worked out. So here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy with the scheduling and being sick. I know that one time I was not feeling well, and it's hard, running a podcast by ourselves, doing everything. It can be quite challenging sometimes, but we're here. We finally made it.
I know a lot of people don't know. It's kind of like, yeah, you're the editor, you're the producer, you're the promoter, you're the host.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something else there, but the organizer, where you're trying
Advertising, it's
advertising.
all the marketing and all that you got to do, because you got to market yourself all the time, sell yourself, sell the podcast, and try
Yes.
to come up with new different ways of advertising. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And you're trying to do it all on a shoestring budget, right? It's like, I don't really want to spend too much money because it costs me a fair amount of money to
Yeah.
do this as well. So Cindy, why don't you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself and about your show as well?
Okay. Well, I'm the little host of Coven of Curiosities. That's what I call myself, the little host, Cindy. And I had the Shaws on, Leslie and Stephen Shaw. They have
Yes,
a book called Who They Are and Who They Are and What They're Up to,
I
And
do. I had them on as well. They're fantastic guests.
yes, aren't
Yes,
they?
it was because of you, because I was listening to your show and I was like, I enjoy them. Yes.
Yeah, no, they are sweethearts. I love them to death. I'm a grandma. I have 2 grandkids, and 2 sons. So, even though I'm 53, I still got it going on,
There we go. There we go.
But anyway, no, it's my podcast is doing very well. I can't
Awesome.
complain. So I'm very
Fantastic.
happy. My whole goal, to be honest with you, right, is just I want to share people's experiences and stories and share mine and just like pretend like we're on a couch, just chit chatting and having a cup of tea and some crumpets, maybe,
Perfect. Yeah,
So,
and I like that type of atmosphere. That's kind of what I like to do. Like I want to share people's experiences for a couple of reasons, because one, I'm super curious. I want to hear these experiences, and then also it's to give them a place where they'll feel safe to tell their experience, and then also the last one is to for them to find a community of people that maybe, or reach out to people maybe who've had the same type of experience, so they can see like I'm not alone, and I can maybe try finding an answer to what the heck is going on. But let's move on from that.
yeah, yeah,
Cindy, why don't you tell me, okay, so I asked you to come on because I'd love for you, like, of course, I'd love to have other podcasters on, but
yeah.
I'm curious about Wiccans and witches and Wicca and everything in under the sun about that. And, you already corrected me off air, and I'm like, see, that's why I want someone to come on. Because I was like, Wiccan and witches, they're the same thing. And you're like, no, 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 no. They're not. They're different. Let's get into that. So, first, just kind of lay the foundation and we'll go from there.
Well, as you know, if you look back in history, witchcraft has been around for a long time. There's sorcery, there's the warlocks, which are the men witches, but it goes way, way back. Okay. Way back in history. Even the Egyptians had their own witchcraft that they did. Okay. I'm more of the traditional. I am the type that is more way traditional. I everybody wants to have, oh, I'm a kitchen witch, I'm a forest witch, or astrology witch, or whatever. Um, there are certain things that I'm very much connected to. And for me personally, as a witch, and every witch is different, and their backgrounds are different. Some are born into the lineage of witchcraft. Some decide to go ahead and start their own, to be a witch. And I just recently found out that it is my lineage is in the family. I just found that out, so it's kind of comforting to know that. But for me, I prefer the very, very traditional, where you are. If I could, I'd be out in the forest right now instead of in a freaking house behind a desk, because that's my happy place. That's where I feel connected to Mother Earth, and have my rituals out there or doing my spells out there, depending on the spell it is. But, you know, um, I kind of been putting my witchcraft on hold a bit and doing my rituals because I like to have a sacred space. And right now, I just don't have the room for it because I do have my oldest son, my daughter in law, my two grandkids living here. So I just don't have that personal space that I need, because that's my time. That's my time to connect with myself, Mother Nature, with the things I'm connected to. And there's always a process that I do. I can't speak on others, but I have to cleanse myself. This means actually cleansing myself with Epsom salt and bathing and taking all the negative and all the dirtiness off me, clearing my mind. And right now, unfortunately, there's too much going on that I have not been able to do that. Once I have my own sacred space back, hopefully soon, then I'll be able to get back into what I'm used to doing, which is writing my spells, or finding spells that are connect with me, because there's all kinds of different spells out there that people have written. Some I connect to and I can be like, oh my gosh, I love that one. Or I'll sit down and I write my own. I have my altar table right here. It's my temporary table just because, like I said, I just don't have the space right now to do anything. But the difference between a traditional witch and a Wiccan is more modern, and that's the more modern version. It's more kind of like a religious base. Even religion, certain religions even have their own witches, believe it or not. So it's just a matter of how they were raised, or what was, whether you were born into it or you decide to start, studying the witchcraft. I feel it's very important that if anybody is looking to be a warlock or be a witch, to study. There's a lot of books out there. There's the basic book that people can get, and you want to make sure that it has good reviews and stuff like that. I have some books, and I even have a starter book, but I have other books too that are a little bit more advanced. Um, but it's very important to educate yourself before you go and start something that you're not familiar with, especially when you're doing spells, because your spells can come back on you. And so you have to be very careful, especially if it's not a good spell. I stay away from that. But usually when I'm doing spells, I've done a money spell, and I manifest as well on top of saying my spell. So there's all kinds of different spells. I'm more of a crystal and candle person. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I can tell you got a question.
Yes, I was gonna say. So I was gonna say, like, so what are some common like misconceptions about spells and rituals, and what are, like, to you, if you had if someone said, "Oh, you're casting spells," like, I know we all jump to Hollywood with, with a magic wand and bibbity bobbity boo,
Yeah.
or the Snow White, the Witch of Snow White, with the apple, the poison apple. Tell us a little bit more about spells. Yeah, like, and you write your own spells? Do you have, and this is my ignorance going, do you have a spell book? And if so, uh, like, I'm assuming you keep that in your sacred space then as well.
Yes. Nobody's allowed to touch my stuff here in the home. That is my sacred stuff. I am the only one that can put things on the table, on my altar table, or touch my books. Because those are if I want to share it, then I'll grab it and I'll share it. When it comes to my things regarding my witchcraft, I rather no one touch it, because I don't know what kind of negativity, or um, they might have a hex on them, or they might, have something that a bad spell on them, and I don't need them touching my thing to pass it on and for me to get it. So, my stuff is my stuff. You just don't touch. But for spells, yes, I do have some of my own. I have written some of mine, and I do have a special book for them that I put them in. I haven't written a spell in a little bit. It's been a while, just because of the chaoticness of, as you know, the podcasting, and there's a lot of other things that are going on that we'll get to later. And I just, like I said, that I have to be also in the right state of mind. I have to have a clear mind. I can't have chaoticness in my head. I can't have negativity. You have to be clear and cleansed. This is me personally. I can't speak on others, but for me, this is how I like to either write my spells or even conduct a spell. Also, too, I like to do my spells when no one's around. And again, I don't have that right now. But when I did have that, yes, my rituals would be more, it's very natural. The crystals, herbs, yes, circles, candles, and colors depend on what kind of spell you're looking to do. There's different types of colors you can use.
Okay, so let's go into that a little bit, like, witchcraft for dummies. That's what I'm looking for here. So, like, and I know in like pop culture we often see like witches using love spells, protection spells, and curses. And how realistic is that compared to actual witchcraft practices?
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. It breaks my heart how Hollywood has turned like witchcraft either into something looks fabulous and wonderful, or is something so evil and dynamic and, you know, whatever, and oh, it's black magic. You know, I've literally have had people say to me, oh my God, you're a witch. Oh my God, are you evil? And it's like, I'm like, no.
Yeah,
What do you don't
Hollywood
know?
has really done a number on that one, and for those who don't know, Hollywood is what they made magic wands out of. So they're casting their own spells on you. So you know, for those
That's true.
watching all the movies, all the TV shows, please be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so candle colors represents different things. It just depends on the kind of spell that you're doing. So a white candle is used for clarity, cleansing, positive energy. Pink obviously is for love, you know, like if you're doing a love spell. Green is money. Black is not, it's something that it's more darker, on the darker side. um Purple has a representation. It's more of um like a more like a, not wealth, what's the word I'm trying to think of, because I it's right there on the tip of my tongue. I hate when that happens.
I don't know, like
um
fame, fortune,
oh gosh,
recognition.
it's right there. Watch, I'll think of it after the show and I'll
Yeah,
have to
exactly. You'd be like,
message you.
yeah, and then you'll send me a little voice message, and I'll edit it in. You're like this, and then there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, long story short, all the different colored candles, it just totally depends, you know. And some witches, like most, some witches use incense. I'm not much of an incense person because I unfortunately have asthma, so I don't want to be inhaling that while it's, you know, around. But I do like my candles. So there's so many different types, like a kitchen witch, if you want to label it. Those are ones that are in the kitchen and they're putting, not everybody has this vision of, oh, she's got a cauldron and, you know, it's boiling water and it's steaming and bubbling, and it's not like that. But yes, you are in the kitchen, you are using herbs and even food. You use food. You want to also want to give to your goddesses and so forth when you're an offering, when you're after you're done doing a spell, because you want to give thanks. So there's all different types out there.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you giving me some more insight into this. Okay, and do you want to keep going, or do you? I have of course I have a ton more questions, but
Then ask me
um,
questions.
okay. So
Yeah.
okay, so now with witchcraft, like, so you're let's go to the name of your podcast is, you know, Coven of Curiosities. So a coven is, of course, I know it as like a group of witches. Now, is that something that you have to be initiated in, or is that just you reach out, find some people, and you guys just kind of, I don't know.
So it's like I said, every witch is different. I
Hmm.
have thought about starting a coven, and everything, and I believe if I remember correctly, it's 3 to 5 in a coven,
Okay.
to start a coven. So because initially I did have 3 women. Oh, it was me, myself, and I. I was
That is awesome. That is awesome. I like
um,
it.
good joke, knee slapper.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes. Exactly.
no, I had 2 other women, some friends of mine, but our schedules just didn't work for us to be able to start a coven. Now when you start out with 3, and you want to add, that's up to the coven that's originated to how they want to initiate someone in or just welcome them in and not initiate. And nowadays it's so verse in, it's not like what you think you see on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it all just varies,
Okay.
to
Okay.
be honest with you.
That's interesting. Now, mm, okay. Okay. I'm just learning as we go.
Yeah.
And now, and so what what brought you into witchcraft? Like, what was it? I know you said there was some family lineage, but was there someone in the family that brought you in there, or you just found your own way and then you went back into your family lineage and you're like, oh, well, that makes sense as to why I'm here?
So I always knew way back in when I was young that I was different. I could feel it. I sensed it. I felt like the black sheep. That's the only way I can describe it, really, to start out. I always felt so like a black sheep, the oddball. My feelings and beliefs were different than others. I was raised Christian for a while and had to go, to church every Sunday. Even when I was younger, I had to do the Sunday school classes and all that kind of stuff. And then I was, as a teenager, I also attended the Kingdom Hall, and was a Jehovah Witness for a while and everything. And because of the living situation, that was the rule, that if I was going to stay there, then I needed to go to the Kingdom Hall and do that. That was a shocker to me. That was a whole life changing experience. And what I noticed as a teenager is I would ask a question, and I never felt my answers being answered. I felt it just kept going in a circle because they would always go to the next verse. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. And I didn't like some of the things that were in the Bible. I didn't agree with it. I'm a very independent woman, and I'm sorry. I don't need a man to tell me what to do, what not to do, and that I'm supposed to be on my barefoot, pregnant, and cleaning and cooking. No, that's not me. you know, and it's just some of the stuff I just didn't agree to. That's my version of telling heck no.
Yeah. No,
So
of course, of course. Yeah, the Jehovah Witnesses are very strict too, and it's not just one day out of the week. I think it's like 2 or 3 days out of the week that you're three. Yeah, and the reason why I know this is when I grew up, the property that my parents purchased was sold to them by Jehovah Witness, and they kept an acre, and on that acre in our front yard they put the Kingdom Hall. So my neighbor was the Kingdom Hall, Jehovah Witness Kingdom
okay,
Hall. So yeah, so we
yeah,
at one point we had them constantly
yep.
knocking on our door
You'd
trying
have to.
to convert us, but yeah,
I had to do that, and it was not fun. And being a teenager too, like, oh no, and not being able to celebrate any holidays or my birthday, it was a shock to my system, and I could not. So I was told that I'm not allowed to associate or have any boyfriends, which I was like, what? I can't have a boyfriend? Are you kidding me? But they would say worldly people. You can't talk or hang out with worldly people. And I thought, that's weird. Why can't I be friends with everybody? Because, I mean, I've always had all kinds of different friends, So it just it threw me for a loop.
and,
So
and in all honesty, like if you're looking to convert people, because that's a big thing of the Jehovah Witnesses, to convert people. Wouldn't you want to have other worldly friends so that you could, try to bring them on in? It would make things a lot easier that way. But
right. But
yeah,
if you stop and think about it, okay, when they say don't associate with worldly people, if you stop and think about it, it's people that okay, yes, you're going door to door.
yeah,
You are manipulating people, or people that are maybe really down or going through a hard time. And so, people are there. And sometimes people will go to religion to feel better. And that's fine. That's their choice. But when I was, went on and moved away and didn't have to be involved in the Kingdom Hall and Jehovah Witness and religion anymore, and especially more so as an adult, when I look back on it and did some research on it, it's very occult type religion.
yeah.
It's very
I
cultish.
agree.
So, I mean, if you really stop and think about it, what religion is an occult, to be honest with you? You know, I mean, look at the Catholics.
It's true
They
that they a lot of
restrictions.
them have those cult tactics, and
Yeah.
it happens. And I was thinking that they're their move to alienate you from otherworldly people is a cult move. It's to isolate. And yeah,
Yep. The form of
sorry.
control.
I know we're kind of going a little bit more on the Jehovah Witness.
No,
But
it's part I'm going to get into. So, um, when I was a teenager and going through that, and like I said, when I was going, having to study, doing book study, going to the Kingdom Hall and going door to door and stuff like that, I couldn't feel connected. I tried other religions as well. And, I actually attended, a church that they all spoke in tongues, and that actually really scared the heck out of me because, I was a teenager and I'm like, what the heck? And people are like freaking out. And I'm like, okay, this is not normal. I'm not used to this. So all in all, what happened is during this time frame, I had a group of friends and we did a Ouija board. And so after that experience, I knew that I definitely was different than others. And after that, I never touched a Ouija board again. No, I will say that. But I
and
had,
sorry, so what happened with the Ouija board?
um, let's just say the girlfriends that I had, we were in my room at the apartment that my mom and I had, and we were messing around with it, and it did start moving on its own. And yeah, let's just say that was enough for me to get freaked out, to see it move on its own. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. And still being still a young teenager and not really understanding or educating myself either. So, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm good. No more. So,
Well,
um,
I actually think that is a ploy. Like I'm completely against Ouija boards. I think you're communicating with something that you have no idea what it is, who it is. It could say that it's your grandma, it can say that it's someone else, but you don't know. And it also is a slight form of possession. Okay, so like I know you said
correct.
like the planquette. I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
It,
you had it
it
right.
was moving on its own. But if you have your hands on it, you know the possession is happening with your fingers. That it's moving your hands
Well, they're
to
using
move
your
this.
energy.
Yes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you were inviting something in to possess you to do this. I agree with you. But back to the point though that I think it's kind of orchestrated this way or created this way is to market it towards young children. So that's like, yeah, let's go to Toys R Us and find a Ouija board, and that's just a fantastic game to play with for 12-year-old, 13-year-old, or
Well, the
something like
Ouija
that.
board is used as a tool to communicate. So, some Ouija boards have, well, anything can have an attachment. So, but you have to understand too, like, you literally, and I say this all the time. I think even on my podcast, I've said it multiple times, other people's podcasts. If you stop and really think about it, right, you can be walking down the sidewalk of your neighborhood and be passing by a spirit and you probably wouldn't even know it. There is so much death on this earth, and years and years and years of death. And you would not believe probably how many spirits are walking by you every day or passing through your home. And, maybe just some of them want you to know, and some of them don't want people to know. But if you really stop and think about it, though, I mean, a car accident, say you're at a street light, like the videos that you see on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they catch a ghostly figure on the street, and they look, but there's no one really there. It was an actual ghost, or they capture it on their GoPro. You know what I mean? So, you just don't know. It's insane, really, when you really stop and think about it. But to get back to that,
You are, sorry, you are completely correct with that. Correct with that. It's kind of it's it's something we don't consider, the amount of death that has been on this earth. Like the sun has killed less people. Let's go to the sun. There's zero deaths there. No, but okay. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, I agree with you. You know, it and we see less than 1% of all the visible lights. You know, so what is that telling us? That there's so much more we're not seeing. So there's a lot of people don't see spirits, and they could just
it's
be
because,
walking past or walking through them all.
yeah, yeah. And that's why, well, because sometimes, people who have, and this is my opinion, okay, I'm not putting my opinion is mine only, um but some people that are open, that have that openness, because I can use my body as a tool for a spirit. I don't need a Ouija board. I see a lot of things as it is already, and it can be very exhausting. And I'm also an empath, and I feel people's energy and emotions, and that's even exhausting. So needless to say, is that to go back to the original, story, is that after the Ouija board experience, I knew then that I felt and believed differently than the rest of my family. I felt a very strong connection to the moon, to Mother Earth. It's so hard sometimes for me to explain, because I feel like I sound like a crazy person, but that's just how I felt as a teenager. I was home alone a lot, or I went out and did whatever the heck I wanted, because my mom worked two jobs to keep food and a roof over our head. So, and I was a brat when I was a teenager. So, it's just, I don't know how to explain it other than I just felt so different, and I felt a strong connection with certain beliefs and things. And so and it took me a long time to get to where now I am comfortable where I'm at. I am still learning a lot, because I suppressed even my abilities for a very, very long time. Very long time. So, and I actually was just had a medium reading. What is it, about 2 months ago, and that opened up a lot of things for me. Her name is Deborah, and she is absolutely amazing. She's one of my closest friends, and she actually clarified a lot of things for me that I had been wondering about. And I ended up learning a lot more that I didn't even know because of her reading. So it's really has helped me out a lot. And then I just spoke to a white witch recently. She's extremely powerful. And that's where I got more information that I do come. And plus my mom's research that she's been doing. Because with her research, and then with this talking to this white witch, we definitely come from a line of witches in the family. So, and that's makes me feel good to know that I kind of had a feeling, but to get that confirmation, it does. It's nice to have that.
No, that is really interesting. And so now, so you have this line of witches, and how did you find out? Like, how did your mother find out that you were from this lineage of witches?
Well, we haven't had the chance to really get into, like, I haven't had the time to like talk to her about that, because she just literally said, I just did some research and I found out. And then there's, I think something had happened where we had to hang up, but I'm already looking to talk to her and say, okay, what did you find? So, because she's up in Washington State, and so we talk on occasion, but she said that she did do her research. I'm going to find out from her how she found out. But she said something about the 1500s or something that she found out, and something to do with um, the United Kingdom, the England, London area, and stuff like that. So I only got bits and pieces from her. I haven't gotten the whole full story yet.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
definitely would like to know more about that for sure.
Same.
Yes.
Same. Same.
Okay. So we kind of covered a little bit of witchcraft. Now, like you've gone into like there's other witches, there's white witches, there's kitchen witches. You yourself, what would you would call yourself? Just like the basic, not basic, but more of like the grounded
I'm a very traditional. I believe in the
traditional. Thank you.
traditional
That
beliefs,
that is
the
what I
way
was
that
that is
things
what I
were
was trying to get at.
done. Yeah. The more modern rich witch, I don't, it's just, I don't connect with it. So if you want to put a label and put me in some spot, you can call me a forest and astrology witch, if I can even talk right. Astrology. That's what I wanted to say. So yeah, because the
Now,
way I'm connected to the moon and the stars, like very connected to the moon. The moon is very calming for me, extremely. And I love my ravens. I love my bats. If I could have a bat, I'd have one in a heartbeat. Same with the raven. If it was allowed, I would definitely have that.
so you love those animals. You love the bat and the raven. Why are you drawn to them? Like, what is the connection with them, please?
Oh gosh, you're the first person who's really asked me that. I don't know how to really explain it. It's something that is felt here in my heart. It's I find them so beautiful, and just the bat, it's the fruit bat that I'm more connected to. I find them very calming. They're very sweet. They just want their fruit. They just want to hang upside down,
And
and
if I do recall, the fruit bat is a very quite large bat, though,
they
as well, right?
can. They
Yeah.
can. They can be. Yeah, for sure. And then the raven, they're just intelligent. They're just so intelligent. And, you know, I I I'm not like Albert Einstein by any means. I do, feel that I am intelligent. I'm not, the other direction. But I have my Cindy words that I have, But anyway, um, the raven, though, I just find it to be a very beautiful bird. It's very intelligent. It's just something that is just something so mystical and just, I don't know how to. It's just something that I feel. It's just a feeling. When you get a feeling about something and you feel connected to something, just like some people absolutely love the ocean, love the beach, and they have, like, when they go there, it helps them to be calm, and they don't, like, there's something about it for them that just brings them happiness. Well, that's the moon. That's ravens and bats for me. That's trees. Trees, I find freaking phenomenally fantastic. They are living, they're breathing, they're providing us oxygen. They try so hard to clean this horrible earth that we are on, from all the toxins in the air. But I feel like if trees could talk, they would have some pretty damn amazing stories.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Now, I have some questions. We're going to take it a little bit differently. So, like historically, witches have been feared and persecuted, because of that. So, why do you think witches were seen as such a threat?
Because it was different. If you think back in the 1300s and the 1400s, 1500s, okay, if you weren't living the way that the religious, because Catholics were huge. Catholics have ran the over in England and Ireland and Scotland, all that area over there for many, many years. It's still, Italy, obviously, of course. But if you did not, if you didn't like that religion, or you did something out of the ordinary that they didn't understand, and that was scary to them, if a woman that looked different, or maybe had really light blue eyes and maybe red hair, you didn't look normal. That's not how we all look here. And not only that, but back in during the Salem witch trials, again,
Yes, I
they
was
were
going to try to get
persecuted
into that
because
too.
of how they looked, or excuse me, I'm sorry. Sorry. um I did. I had to get a drink. So anyway, if you look back then, though, if they saw someone doing something different or using herbs as a medicine, or because it wasn't something traditional that they were used to, oh, you're a witch. Everybody was a freaking witch or a warlock or whatever. Or if they said something like chanted a spell or whatever, because it wasn't a religious thing, back then, or they didn't understand it. That's why they were persecuted, because they thought it was evil. And then don't get me wrong, back then there were witches and warlocks and sorcerers and stuff that did practice and everything. And some of it was not good. I do believe, there's some witches that are still black witches now. Uh, so,
Now,
or study the
okay,
black magic.
okay, so with the black magic and the witches that do that, or warlocks or whoever, have you ever had to deal with that personally? With Has someone come to you with any type of like curse of sorts, and like, Cindy,
No,
I need help?
no, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
No,
Thank goodness, because I don't need anything. I don't need anything bad on me. But no, I mean, I do have a spell. It was written by someone else. It's in one of my books, and it's not a good spell. And I will never use that, because when you have a negative spell and you put it on someone, it can come back on you 10 times fold.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, we don't need that. Don't need that at all, right?
No, no,
Yes.
no. I'm good.
Okay, so then protecting yourself. Let's say protecting yourself from these, because there is a chance that this can happen. What kind of charms or spells or things do you use, or you would recommend to our listeners and viewers? Like, okay, I would say have this on you, or wear this, or do that.
So for me, again, I'm going to say for me, because I'm not like everyone else. Everybody has their own ways. So I'm big on obsidian bracelets. Obsidian bracelets are my favorite. So basically the rule is I didn't want to wear it because it clangs a lot, and I didn't want to make noise during the podcast. So um anyway, so there's a little tie thing here, okay, that keeps it together. When this is all done and it's broken and the beads or the obsidian beads fall off, then it's done its job. And then you need to go get a new one. So
Oh,
I
okay,
wear this,
so if it falls off of you, if it breaks, the cord breaks or something like that,
then
or the
the
beads
protection
break,
is done.
it means that someone tried to do something and it
No,
kind of like,
no,
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 okay.
no. When it breaks, so when it's all done, when it's done its duty, because it protects me, obsidian is a protection stone. And so when all the knots, there's like little knots, when all these come undone and it's broken, then your protection is done. It's then time to get either another protection bracelet or whatever it is you feel you need at the time. So I've been wearing this a lot because of certain things that have been going on in my life. And then there's also the third eye. I wear this one on occasion too. So it just depends really on the person and what they might be going through. There's all kinds of different necklaces and charms, and it all depends on, and some people don't believe in the crystals. I have.
Now, do you believe intention plays a part in that as well?
Oh,
Not only,
absolutely. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's all about your intent and what you're trying to do. If you have bad intent, then yeah, you're going to use certain things. It all depends on the spell. Just like I have my good spells. It's sometimes it requires, white candle, yellow candle, peach candle. It just depends on the spell and what it requires. So, it
okay.
varies each time. Depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, kind of like the colors of the candles as well. It always depends on what you want to do, right? With those ones. Oh, that is interesting. So, Okay. Well, like, I think we've delved into that enough now. So, what about you? Have you had any experiences that, other than the Ouija board, have you had any experiences that have kind of, you know, made you question what's really going on?
What do you mean?
Like any type of supernatural, paranormal type of
Oh,
experiences of
paranormal
that
stuff.
loan? Yeah.
Yeah. So here lately, again, like I said, I had my medium reading with Deborah Roku. She is very, very talented woman. I love her to dearly. She was able to actually clarify a lot of things when I had my medium reading with her. Which then that's how I learned that I am clairvoyant, because I couldn't explain the things that I was seeing. Because I literally thought, I'm like, am I going crazy? Like, why am I seeing this stuff,
Okay. So,
And it's,
what are you seeing,
oh my gosh. So I'll just give you a little bit because I see too
please?
much. It gets a little overwhelming. So I can actually, when either my eyes are open or closed, I see visions of faces, shadow figures. The other night, I actually saw a very old, um, very, very old, creepy looking lady. She actually kind of startled me when I saw her. It's kind of hard to kind of explain, but it's like a static TV at first. You're looking at a static, and then things start coming in more clear. Some things are blurry, some things come in very, very clear. I actually had this one still to this day. It was the most amazing experience that I had. But I'm telling you what, it was just it was so weird. Like I just was like I talked to the white witch about this. Anyway, so because she asked me, she goes, "Have you flown?" And I said, "No, I haven't flown, but I floated." And I told her my what I had did. So I was floating next to a pirate ship. I can see the pirate ship clear as day, the beautiful colors of it. I could see the sailors or the pirates on the ship. I saw the front of the ship. I could smell the ocean air, the water, blowing on me and, splashing on me. And then it went into, like, I kind of morphed into me seeing of this beautiful white house and ivy like going around in a beautiful like landscaped yard, beautiful bright just air. All the colors were just so, oh my god, it was just beautiful. That's like, it's so hard, like it brings joy to me when I think about it or say it. But it's I have seen evil things. I've had things that literally had scared the crap out of me, that, it made my heart race, and I couldn't, like, it took me a minute to get calmed down. And then I also see, so I have two guides, an angel and a familiar. So, she said
And
one of my
a
guides is very
familiar.
active,
What does a familiar mean?
an animal.
Okay. Okay.
It's an animal. So, and they're the ones that are always around you and watching you. She said one of my guides is an ancient guide, and she's always there with me all the time. And when I was having the medium reading, it got to the point where Deborah was saying things that she would have not known at all. She's got into some really deep stuff about my life that she had no clue at all. I'd never talked to her about it before. And she's relaying because the guide was telling her. So it got very emotional for her and I. It actually exhausted her, and she had to stop for a minute because my guide was so active. And she's like, I do readings a lot. She goes, "You have the most active guide I have ever had to deal with." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but it got emotional. Both her and I cried because yeah, I don't want to cry. So
No problem. No problem.
it got deep. It got deep. So sorry.
That's
Um,
okay. No, no worries, no worries. Yeah, you can see. So, like, you know, for those that maybe are doubting this, like, you, the amount of emotion that you're showing, it's showing that this has really affected you, and it's like we have experiences that totally affect us, and they're not just like, oh, that's my imaginary friend. No, this is something so much more than that, you know. And that's one thing that I want people to know, that it's like these types of experience, whether they're good, because there are good experiences that we have, and there's the bad experiences too. They affect us, and they cause us to, you know, become different.
so, but I do, one of my guides that, my ancient guides, sorry, she's been, so basically when you see your guide, you see a blue light or a white light. And there is one of my guides who's very active. I always, when I see it's a lot of blue light that I see. So when I'm seeing the negative things, my blue light comes in and I know it's her and I feel better. I feel safe. I feel protected. So yeah, it's a lot of times, you know, when I talk about it, I think to myself, gosh, people are going to really think I'm crazy. But I'm to the point now, I really don't care anymore what other people think. I know what I experience, I know what I see. And now that I've got my confirmation from my medium reading, I know for a fact that what I'm seeing is real and it's not in my head. So,
I agree with you. You know, like there's a lot of things that we see. I've seen some crazy things that people would be like, put me in the loony bin for, but I know it's real. Now, I know we're getting closer here to the end, Cindy. So I just have a couple
mhm,
more questions. So,
okay.
if someone is starting out and, you know, exploring or wanting to get into witchcraft, what what would you recommend? Is there like books or
Oh, yeah.
resources or even movies? Sometimes movies have some, you know, some good information within them as well.
I wouldn't go to the movies. Okay. If you're going to start out in witchcraft, I would highly suggest doing your due diligence and finding a good book. There are good books out there for starting. Beginners, you know, beginner witchcraft or, you know, but you know, got to be careful because either you're going to study for Wiccan or you're going to study the traditional type witchcraft, which is how it all started way back, you know, years and years and years ago, way back in history, which I prefer. That's what I prefer. Everyone's different. So it's up to them on what they want to get connected to and what connects with them. But yes, there are plenty of books out there to check into. Definitely do, you know, research. There's a lot of there's a lot that's documented that you can go back and look into. But again, like any type of historical documentation is stories, right? It's stories, it's events of a story or the story is of an event. So you know you got to be careful with what you're looking into and reading and stuff like that. So I am very careful when I pick out a book. You know, I look at the spells. There's even times I'll see spells on Instagram or Pinterest, you know, and some of them they'll connect with me and it's like, okay, I can connect with that. And then some I'm like, ooh, no, I'm good, you know. So it's a matter of your preference, but I just read, do a lot of reading, and it depends on what direction they want to go, to be honest with you.
That is
So
awesome, and I appreciate that. That's some great advice. You know, um, yeah, yeah. Movies is something. I hate saying movies because they're main Hollywood movies sometimes are really misleading, and you know, and but there's a lot of like indie films or documentaries that I find sometimes,
documentaries.
yeah, are really good to follow.
Yep.
Now, before we head out here, so one, where can everyone find your podcast? And do you have any other projects in the works that we should be looking out for?
Yes, actually. So you can find my Coven of Curiosity podcast on and short stories on Instagram. So it's Coven _of _curiosities _pod cast _SS because I couldn't fit it all. So
Okay,
I had to do SS for short stories. And then I'm on Facebook, of course, Coven of Curiosity podcast. And TikTok. trying to build TikTok actually. So, but mainly Instagram. And I have my Gmail, Coven of Curiosity podcast or pod at gmail.com and stuff. So as to things coming my way, tomorrow I'm actually recording with a director and an actress. They reached out to me for a movie that is now available. People can watch. It's an indie type movie, budget movie, but it actually was quite done well. It's quite the thriller. So I've got that. And then I just got told today that I don't want to quite announce too much because it's not been officially announced, but I got a call and I am going to be part of a show on TV. Now I'm part of the group. So I'll be able to share that a little bit more on my pages when that officially comes out. But yeah, they want me on the show. So not only do I have my podcast, my short stories, but now I'm going to be on another show. So I'm very excited.
And probably when this drops, this releases, that'll be, it'll be, everybody will know. So, and if anybody is interested in Cyndi and her podcast, Coven of Curiosities and short stories, all the links will be down below in the show notes. So as usual, they're always there, everybody. So make sure you guys check them out. So Cyndi, I want to say thank you one last time for coming on. I've really appreciated it.
No, thank you for having me on. It was a good time. I loved chatting with you.
It was. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, everyone. That was Cyndi from Coven of Curiosities. And I stumbled upon her podcast because I was like, hey, wait a minute. This is so close to the name of my podcast. And I'm like, we got to connect. We have to connect. So that is what we did. We connected, and fantastic. What a great, a great person. She brought in some great insight into, witches, Wicca, and she is a traditional witch, which is something I can totally respect. Going back to the roots, sticking to the old ways, and following that path, which is, in my opinion, the best way to do things now. So, and if all of you are still listening and you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out Coven of Curiosities and follow Cyndi on Instagram and on TikTok. And as usual, if you're still following this as well, make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell for Codega's Codex of Curiosities, because that's how we roll. And, until next time, everyone, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home.
Beneath the stars where shadows grow, the Nephilim's echoes whisper low. Bigfoot roams through the forest deep, and Dogman prowls where the brave won't sleep. Across lost history we wonder why, seeking the truth that time tried to hide. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies, aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks, in the void of secrets a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the cold gas flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies, aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks, in the void of secrets a lantern wakes. through hidden realms and stories untold. The code against flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the codex, the mysteries come and always find your way back home. Legends rise from the earth's deep core, a lost legacy we can't ignore. With every step, the veil grows thin, revealing worlds where the strange begins. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit. Through the darkness, don't ever quit. In the codex, the mysteries come and always